Are you here? That's great, because it's the Paul Leslie Hour with a review of Reframe Your Brain, the user interface for happiness and success, a book by Scott Adams. Ready, set, review.
Hey, it's me. So my buddy Robert McCready and I are going to review this book, Reframe Your Brain, published by Scott Adams Incorporated in 2023. Something that I noticed about my friend Robert McCready, who is a big fan of Scott Adams and turned me on to the show Coffee with Scott Adams, is that Robert would have this way of facing an obstacle or a problem, something bad would come up, and he would almost instantly have a positive thought. He would say something positive, or in some cases, he would actually do something positive. I didn't know the first couple of times I saw him do this that these were reframes. So you might be asking yourself, what is a reframe? I kind of knew what it was, but on the May 7, 2025 episode of Real Coffee with Scott Adams, a show that comes out every day, I recommend it highly, Scott Adams said this, which I wrote down. So how many of you have heard me say something or write something in one of those books that caused you to change your life? Either lose weight or stop drinking or exercise more or build a talent stack or do systems over goals. Now, those are insights. Those are reframes in some cases, but basically they're designed to help you see something that was sort of always there. It's just that I saw it differently, or even just putting it in different words, I could turn your general desire to improve into you actually doing things, and then you would actually improve. So that's a reframe. I'm going to let my friend Robert McCready take it from here. This is his part of the review, and then I'm going to share my 2 cents after that.
Reframe Your Brain by Scott Adams is one of the best self-help books I've ever read. It helps you to, like the title says, reframe your brain. Sometimes we get caught in ways of thinking that prevent us from taking action in our lives. One of the ones that he uses is alcohol is poison, and if you tell yourself alcohol is poison, you'll start to think of it as poison and you won't drink alcohol as much. One of the reframes that worked for me was, you're not taking your dog for a walk, you're taking your dog for a sniff. That way, if you don't get a lot of exercise in, you're just taking your dog for a sniff. It wasn't about exercise. At the end of the book, he lists all of the reframes that he gives throughout the book. And one of the big features of the book is that he shows you how to create your own reframe. As a writer, sometimes I get torn between how to write a book. Should I write it in a notebook first? Should I just type it directly on the computer? And I can go back and forth. Some of my colleagues will say writing in a notebook and then transcribing adds a step. But with Reframe Your Brain, I was able to reframe that as writing in a notebook first doesn't add a step. The people that don't do it are skipping a step. And it just helped me to calm my brain down. When you reframe your brain successfully, you're actually creating new brain structures. That's hard to beat.
I really can't put it much better than Robert McCready, but I will say that this book is one that is good to read in chunks. It's good to read, let it soak in, apply it, read a little more. It's really fun. And then, as Robert mentioned, the rewarding part is Chapter 8, How to Make Your Own Reframes. Here's one little part from that chapter. Reframes don't need to be true or even logical. That just means whatever you need to tell yourself, whatever little trick gets you to do it, that's your reframe, if it works. This maybe sounds like hyperbole, but it's not. Having read Reframe Your Brain, I am convinced there is no problem, obstacle, challenge, block, whatever, that doesn't have a reframe that works for it. You can use a reframe to win the game. So, I recommend Reframe Your Brain. You'll have more success, energy, enjoyment, health, and your relationship with other people will improve. I can't think of a better book for you to read. Remember, there's no problem that doesn't have a reframe. Maybe you just haven't thought of it yet. If you get the book, let me know what you think. I'd love to hear how it's helping you. Until next time.